Episode 2, The Structure of Thought and Cosmology in the Divine, Comedy and Traiphum Phra Ruang. 2.1 Metaphysical Foundations, the metaphysical ideas underlying. Both works form the foundation for understanding how each conceives the afterlife, its origin and ultimate purpose. In Dante Alighieri's The Divine Comedy, the metaphysical foundation lies in Christian scholasticism, which fuses Aristotelian philosophy with Christian theology. Especially influential is Thomas Aquinas, who taught that all things in the universe possess order and reason because God is both the first cause and the final end of all existence. Goodness is the participation in divine being, while evil is the privation of good, the turning away from the divine light. Thus, Dante's cosmos represents a divinely ordered hierarchy, where virtue and sin are not social conventions but metaphysical realities. Those who reject divine goodness descend into states of darkness and separation from God. By contrast, King Lithai in Traiphum Phra Ruang constructs a cosmos grounded in Theravada, Buddhist cosmology, governed not by a creator, but by causal law, Paikasamupta, the chain of dependent origination. Everything arises and ceases through causes. Nothing is permanent, anicca. Satisfying, dukkha, or self-subsistent, anat. The afterlife is thus not an eternal destination but a conditional result shaped by karma, intentional action. In other words, Dante envisions a God-centered universe, while Lithai envisions a Dharma-centered universe. The ultimate truth in the Divine Comedy is God, whereas in Traiphum Phra Ruang, it is nirvana, the cessation of the cycle of rebirth. 2.2 Cosmology of the Afterlife. Both works map out the moral universe in structural form, depicting the relationship between virtue, sin, and cosmic justice. In the Divine Comedy, Dante journeys through 3 realms. 1. Inferno, hell, composed of 9 concentric circles, each punishing sins of increasing gravity, from the unbaptized in limbo to the lustful, gluttonous, avaricious, wrathful, and finally the treacherous in the 9th circle, frozen in a lake of ice, the furthest from divine love. 2. Purgatorio, purgatory, a mountain of purification, where repentant souls ascend through moral trials towards spiritual cleansing. 3. Paradiso, heaven, 9 celestial spheres culminating in the Empyrean, the eternal realm of divine light, where Dante beholds God as the light that is 3 circles in one, symbolizing the Trinity. Dante's universe is thus both a moral geography and a spiritual psychology, charting the ascent from ignorance to illumination. In Traiphum Phra Ruang, the cosmos comprises 31 planes of existence, from hells to heavenly realms, the hells, Avsai, Lohakum, etc., numerous infernal levels assigned according to the gravity of one's sins, air animal, ghost, and asura realms, for intermediate or confused states, a human world, the realm of moral choice, air 6 heavens, rewards of merit, such as Tvatisa and Tusita, a 20 Brahma realms, attained through meditative absorption, Jhna, and Nirvana, not a place but the extinction of suffering and rebirth. The Buddhist cosmos is therefore not a fixed spatial order but a continuum of mental states, dynamically shaped by karma. 2.3 Conceptions of time and the meaning of history. Time in the Divine Comedy is linear. It begins with creation and ends with judgment. Humans live once and are eternally judged thereafter. Dante's journey symbolizes movement toward the end of time, culminating in eternal union with God. In Traiphum Phra Ruang, time is cyclical, sasra, an endless loop of birth and death conditioned by karma. There is no final judgment, only ongoing transformation until liberation is achieved. Salvation means transcending time itself, escaping the cycle into nirvana. In essence, Dante speaks of eternal salvation, while Lithai speaks of eternal cessation, both ending the soul's wandering, though by opposite paths. 2.4 Divine Justice versus Karmic Law. Justice is central to both cosmologies. In Dante's vision, justice is the will of God, perfectly proportional retribution known as contrapasso, counter-suffering, where punishment mirrors sin. The deceitful have their tongues cut, the violent burn in perpetual flame. Each penalty restores cosmic balance under divine order. In Lethai's vision, justice operates through karma, an impersonal but precise moral causation. Every action yields results in exact correspondence. Cruelty brings rebirth in torment. Compassion brings heavenly rebirth. There is no judge, only the law of nature itself. Both systems affirm the same moral axiom. No being escapes the consequence of its deeds. Whether by divine will or karmic causality, cosmic equilibrium is ultimately restored. 2.5 Humanity, freedom, and the path to liberation. For Dante, humans possess free will. Yet due to original sin cannot attain salvation unaided. They must receive divine grace. His pilgrimage thus traces the movement from ignorance to faith, culminating in the beatific vision of God. For Lethai, humans also possess freedom, not absolute, but conditioned freedom within the causal web. One can shape future karma through ethical action, meditation, and wisdom. Liberation comes through insight that dispels ignorance, avage. Hence, both affirm that humans choose their destiny. But Dante's path depends on divine aid, while Lethai's rests on self-cultivation. 2.6 Virtue Ethics. Dante's ethics combine the three theological virtues, faith, hope, and charity, with Aristotle's four cardinal virtues, justice, fortitude, temperance, and prudence. The seven deadly sins mark moral descent. Lethai's system centers on the 10 perfections, pram, including generosity, morality, renunciation, wisdom, effort, loving-kindness, and equanimity, along with the 5 precepts and awareness of the 3 poisons, greed, hatred, delusion. Both use moral imagination, fear, and love as pedagogical tools. Dante warns of losing divine grace, while Lethai warns of karmic retribution. Their aim is the same, to return the human heart to goodness. 2.7 The epistemology of salvation. Dante holds that true knowledge arises from the harmony of faith and reason. Human intellect, enlightened by divine grace, ascends toward truth. His journey is thus an allegory of intellectual and moral awakening. Lethai teaches that true knowledge arises from direct insight, vipassana, experimental realization of impermanence, suffering, and non-self. It is not conceptual but transformative, leading to liberation from delusion. In both systems, enlightenment is a return to light, Dante's to divine radiance, Lethai's to the illumination of wisdom. 2.8 Love and compassion as cosmic forces. Dante's final verse declares, "The love that moves the sun and the other stars." Here, love is not emotion but the ontological force uniting creation under God. In Traiphum, Phra, Ruang, compassion, Met and Karu, functions similarly, the spiritual energy that elevates beings toward higher realms. Compassion sustains moral order and prepares the mind for liberation. Thus, both love and compassion serve as cosmic gravities, one divine, one dharmic, pulling all existence toward harmony. 2.9 Literary style and didactic purpose. Dante employs epic poetic vision, interweaving theology, philosophy, and historical allegory. His encounters with figures like Judas and Brutus transform moral teaching into vivid imagery. King Lethai writes in lucid, devotional prose accessible to all, describing heavens and hells in concrete detail. Traiphum Phra Ruang thus functions as moral pedagogy, instructing subjects in the righteous path of conduct and governance. Both works fuse literature and moral instruction, uniting beauty with ethical purpose. 2.10 Political ethics and spiritual authority. Both texts transcend religious instruction to embody spiritual politics. Dante's poem censures corrupt clergy and rulers, placing them in hell as moral exemplar. His vision doubles as a critique of ecclesiastical decay and civic vice. King Lethai's treatise, meanwhile, models Dharmaja, the righteous king who governs by moral virtue rather than coercion. The text underpins the legitimacy of Buddhist kingship and moral governance. Each thus stands as a literature of moral sovereignty, fusing faith, ethics, and statecraft. Conclusion of Chapter 2. The Divine Comedy and Traiphum Phra. Ruang both transform cosmology into a mirror of the human soul. Hell is not merely a place of punishment but the darkness within. Heaven is not merely a reward but the light of purified wisdom. Both Dante and Lethai proclaim that every human being has a choice, to remain in shadow or to ascend toward illumination. That is the universal message these two hemispheres of world literature have bestowed upon humankind, to be continued in Chapter 3.